Conservation District, which was recently created for the Boston Landmarks Commission, talking about the ancient landscape that this place represents here in Roxbury. There was an archaeological survey that was done here back in the 1970s and 1980s, actually for the Dillaway-Thomas House, this early 18th century house behind me, which is also in the district now, that the archaeologists that were here were working on trying to find an archaeological site and data related to the house. But during that process, they uncovered an ancient Massachusetts Native American site here with stone tool processing, including pieces of rock that people use from Mattapan, West Roxbury, the surrounding area, to make stone tools. And those stone tools we were able to date to between 5,500 and 7,500 years old. One of the things that we realized from this site is how important the view was to anybody that's been here for thousands of years. From this area, we could see most of Back Bay. Native Americans, they would have had their fish spears out in Back Bay, but going back to the Revolution era, during the Battle of Bunker Hill, we have records of folks in the home seeing all the way to Charlestown and reflecting on the smoke coming out of the landscape and rising up from the city. It's the site of a historic church, as we can hear in the background, going all the way back to the 1600s. But also one of the more exciting parts of the story was in the late 1800s, one of the very first Japanese exchange students in history came to Boston right after Japan opened their doors to trade and cultural exchange. When they came here to the Dillaway-Thomas House, the Japanese students that were here lived in the house. The archaeologists uncovered, unbeknownst to them, dozens of pieces of Japanese ceramics that were never identified during the initial dig. And when we went back to go look at those dozens of years later, we realized that we had Japanese ceramics on the site. When we dated them, they dated to the exact period of when these students were here. So unbeknownst to us, we had, since the 70s and the 80s, probably some of the earliest exchanged Japanese goods in history in America here at the Dillaway-Thomas House. So the little pieces of the story of Boston, the story of Roxbury, the story of the many communities that make up Boston then and now are recorded in archaeological sites. And when we do archaeology in places in the Highland Park District, we're going to be able to start piecing back together those stories of just how many people, how many communities, how many individual stories are recorded in the ground, that we can be able to find out more about a very diverse history of Boston.